Hey everybody, it's Gomodex and welcome back to another Magic Arena video. Today we have the festival Super Singleton event. This event costs 500 gems or 2,500 gold, just like the last festival event. You get to play as much as you want and you get prizes for the first 3 wins. This event's prizes are a Grim Tutor full art style, a Scavenging Ooze full art style, and a Solemn Simulacrum full art style. So in this event, the format is Super Singleton. That is a 100 card deck with only one of every card in it. You can't run 2 copies of, say, a Solemn Simulacrum or something. You have to only have one of everything. And this is a historic Singleton event. So you get to play cards, any card that you own except for Nexus of Fate and Oko Thief of Crowns. Those are the 2 banned cards for the format. Other than that, anything you have in your collection is viable. You can just only use one of each, except for your basic lands. You can have as many of those as you want. So my one thing that I would say as a guide for deck building would just be to make sure that you choose your number of lands. The auto land suggester, even if you tell it you're making a Super Singleton deck, is still going to try to put just 24 lands in there. And in a 100 card deck, you definitely want closer to 40 lands in that deck. So this white weenie deck that I made is really basic. I kind of just threw it together just because the task of making a 100 card Singleton historic deck seems very daunting to me, and it's not something I'm ever going to play in any other event outside of this festival event. I will have a deck list for it in the description below, but it is super basic, and I made sure to keep it to only commons and uncommons, just so even if you don't have a ton of rares and mythics, you would be able to craft something like this and have a decent time in the event, just as a guideline. So, as I said before, it is a white weenie deck. It is pretty basic, just an aggressive strategy that is focused around dropping a bunch of early game creatures that are just powerful for their costs and trying to outspeed our opponent's decks. I'm hoping to run up against a lot of kind of slower multicolored piles like Sultai value decks that are blue, black, and green that like to draw a bunch of cards. So far we are against mono red, and it's a bunch of cheap cards, so it's going to be a similar sort of strategy, definitely not what I'd like to see here, but our Emancipation Angel on turn 3 should be very powerful. That's a 3-mana 3/3 flyer. It does require us to return something back to our hand, but the Beloved Princess is not really doing anything on our field anyway. We could also return a land to our hand and just replay it next turn, since we don't have another land in hand. But if I do draw a Plains, I would like to cast Trusted Pegasus and Gird for battle in the same turn. Unfortunately, our opponent does have a Lightning Strike to defeat our Emancipation Angel, so there goes that plan. But we can play 2 cards if we play Sapphire Sabertooth and Beloved Princess onto this board. Their field is nothing but 1/1s, and they're all on the ground, so I kind of want to make some flying happen here, so I'll go with Trusted Pegasus. That's also a 2/2, so it can block any of those and kill it without dying. They are mono red though, so they're very likely to have a shock or something like that alongside their Lightning Strike to deal damage to more of my creatures and clear the way. There's a Sparring Construct from our opponent, and a Goblin Banneret. Alright, I do have enough mana to drop a 2-drop and put a counter on both of my creatures here, which is very nice. Now I have a 3/3 lifelink. That should really slow them down, especially since I'll be able to start attacking with Trusted Pegasus and giving that flying, so I get to be hitting them for 6 a turn and gaining 3 a turn. They only have 5 power on their board right now. They can pump up Goblin Banneret and use its Mentor ability to start making their other creatures larger, but I think I'm still pretty handedly winning that race. My next turn plan, if they don't have any way to interact here and destroy any of my creatures, would be to drop Eidolon of Inspiration, because that can start giving my lifelinker extra power every turn, which will be very nice. So this is a really suspicious attack. I don't really like the idea of losing my lifelinker here, but let's just see what they have. Must just be like a shock or something of that sort. Could be a Sure Strike that gives +3/+0, and first strike looks like it's Embercleave. Embercleave on the Grim Initiate is pretty aggressive, seeing as they could have chosen to kill my Bishop Soldier there. But it looks like they want to get aggressive. Eidolon of Inspiration is going to gain me a ton of life now, since I'm giving an extra 2 power to Bishop Soldier every turn. And they're just going to scoop them up. They were stuck on 2 mana there, but it did look like they were a really aggressive, really fast deck. So I'm not sure that their mana situation was the biggest problem there. Probably just the massive amount of lifelink that I got to get off of the Bishop's Soldier. So that'll get our Grim Tutor style out of the way. 2 more wins to go. We got to get the Scavenging Ooze style and the Solemn Simulacrum style. I don't know why the tracker looks like this. I only have 1 win, but it's showing the Scavenging Ooze style also is faded out at the bottom, so that's a little strange. Must just be a little visual glitch there. Anyway, let's hop back into it, get another win with our White Weenie deck. That did not go as bad as I thought it would. If our opponent did have a lot more burn spells and stuff, that could have went pretty poorly for me. Just getting rid of the lifelinker there would have been a big game with that Embercleave out. So if they could have just thrown a Lightning Strike or something like that at my lifelinker, I would have been very scared. So we're against a blue deck, and they start off with a Spectral Sailor. Looks like we might just be playing against a lot of fast decks today. I'm going to start off with a Sunhome Stalwart after this, because he can use his Mentor trigger to make any of my 1-power creatures larger permanently. Just put a +1/+1 counter on them. So I get to attack with him and the Hunted Witness and give Hunted Witness +1/+1. So that should be very nice. So our opponent is on blue-white, probably blue-white flyers, seeing as they started with a Spectral Sailor, but it could be some kind of just controlling build. So I am going to just play Swiftclaw and Haazda Marshal here, because I'm just trying to make my board as big and aggressive as possible, as fast as possible. They only have 1 power on the board against all of this, so I don't really need the life gain immediately. I would rather have the creature that can spit out more creatures while I'm attacking. So that's why I went Marshal Swiftclaw instead of Soul Warden Swiftclaw. And now with a Master Splicer, I'm probably going to just spend all my mana on that, because that'll be a quite large creature. It's a 1/1 that comes with a 4/4 Golem. We are going to attack with everybody now. Mentoring onto the Marshal, so they'll have to trade with the Cloudkin Seer if they want to get that off the board. And they can't even kill my Mentor creature because it does have First Strike. And it looks like they're very on the defensive here really quick, so this is exactly what I was hoping this deck would do. And we're not even against a really slow deck. We are against a Flyers deck, so they do have creatures of their own to be blocking our stuff. So they are fighting back a bit here, but we do have them down to 11 with 5 creatures on board, which feels like a very good spot to be on turn 4. There's a Seal Away to get rid of one of our creatures. Definitely the Sunhome Stalwart, I would assume. Yep, there he goes. We do still have 8 power on the board. If they can't get a blocker on this field, we will be hitting them down to 3. They do have a Brazen Borrower, though, to kill our Golem token. That's not ideal. Go ahead and attack with all of these. Hit them down to 7 life. Now I can Aeromancer's Cage and exile their Seal Away to return my Sunhome Stalwart to the field. It's definitely a bit better than playing Soul Warden. The argument for Soul Warden would be that maybe they play something that's really good at blocking here that I would really want to Aeromancer's Cage. Say they have a Dream Trawler or something. That would be something I really need to try to remove. But like Dream Trawler wouldn't even... Dream Trawler would be able to get hexproof anyway, so it would survive that. But yeah, just anything, even like a Roman Ghostlight, I'm fine to leave that on the field. I can lose a 1/1 to do a few more damage here. Alright, now I'll definitely play Soul Warden first, so I am getting the little bit of life gain value off of casting the rest of these. They're down to 7, so they're at a low enough life total that I think it's worth sacrificing either of my 1/1s just to get 3 damage in this turn. Put them down to 4 life, because the thing about these 1/1s is they're both just 1/1s with no abilities at this point. I don't have any other golems in my deck except the golem that is produced by Master Splicer. It's just in here as 4 mana for a 1/1 and a 4/4. So they're down to 4 life now. And I will have 3 2-power creatures attacking them, and 2 1-power creatures. If I draw another land, I can even pump up the Chorister, which would be even more threatening. So we'll have to see what kind of removal they can produce here. Hopefully not a lot. Ooh, mass manipulation is actually pretty huge. Dang, would have loved to see a land there for Anointed Chorister, because then Anointed Chorister could swing in really well here. They couldn't not block it, because if they didn't block it, they'd just die. If they blocked with Ghostlight alone, Ghostlight would just die. Basically, a 4/4 would be perfect against their current board. If I attack with everyone, though, they can first strike kill one of my creatures. So we'll say they first strike kill Hunted Witness, then they block Chorister with Ghostlight and take 2. They'll be at 2 life, but then I'll just have 2 1/1 lifelinkers and a Soul Warden out. I guess I'll have Inspiring Unicorn as well. So I lose 2 creatures to put them to 2. Probably worth it. Brazen Borrower can only block flying creatures, so if they don't have another creature in hand, that leaves them dead on board next turn. They may choose not to block Hunted Witness here and just go to 1. That way, Hunted Witness isn't spitting out a creature. And that is what they choose. They're going to 1 life here. So if just one of my creatures can get through at any point this game, we'll be able to finish them off. So they need another blocker now. We do have to draw well at this point, though, which in Singleton, it's pretty rocky, because the decks are very inconsistent. Every card in the deck only has 1 copy. They just pass turns. They probably have some kind of combat-based removal. Still just going to send in here. I'm going to make them have it. If they don't have it, they lose on the spot. If they do have it, I'm just sitting here giving them time to stabilize anyway. Put some pressure on here, especially since the Unicorn trigger actually went off. Never mind. They can literally just counter the trigger. If they're trying to cast a Brazen Borrower, okay. It looked like they were looking at the Brazen Borrower there. I was really hoping they were going to cast Brazen Borrower and try to block with that, because that would not be able to block any of the creatures on this field, and I would crack through for lethal there. Alright, at least I get to trade with Nyambi. So my field will just be a single 1/1 now, though. A lot of different ways I could break through here. It's all dependent on how I can draw. I guess this deck doesn't have a whole lot of ways to break through. Most of the ways are by getting flying creatures. Ooh, Johnny's Pridemate is not bad with a 1/1 lifelinker out. Voracious Great Shark to counter that. It does definitely look like our opponent is going to start stabilizing here. Yeah, most of our ways to break through board stalls involve flying creatures. So just having that Roman Ghostlight is going to save them from that. I do have like a Faerie Guidemother, though, that can give one of our creatures +2/+1 in flying. So if they attack with their flyer, then I could like just surprise kill them out of nowhere. I suppose they do have the Brazen Borrower as well, though, so even a flyer like at instant speed would not really get through. Supply runners would have been really great earlier when we had like 5 creatures on board on turn 5, but right now we just got this 2/2, we throw a counter on it. I am going to go ahead and scoop this game up, because it is not going to be a win. Our only way to break through would be with flyers, and they do have 1 flyer laying in wait that they could cast untapped at any time to block, plus the 2nd flyer on board. So that was an incredibly close game, but we just ran out of gas right at the end there. Let's see what we got now. Bunch of 1-mana creatures, that's what I like to see. We have a Demotion that can shut off blocks from a creature as well. Just try to get out there, hit the ground running here. I think one thing that I would do, looking back at this deck, if I went to rebuild this, is I would probably definitely lower the life gain sub thing. Like this, the stuff like Soul Warden, I think I'd rather just have another 2 mana 3/1 or decent aggressive creature first before that. But I did build this deck very quickly. I don't have a lot of free time lately, so most of the time I literally just, if I've got the free time to make a video, I'm like, alright, let me pop in and make a video here. So if it's any format that requires me building a deck, it's just going to get slapped together in about 5 minutes, like this deck was. That's why I highly prefer limited. Just one of the many reasons. So we have an Ajani's Pridemate here, so next turn we get to play Soul Warden and Healer's Hawk, and then immediately be attacking with a 3-power Pridemate. Does look like we're against Esper, so probably some kind of slower Esper control sort of deck. So we might be able to curve out here and really get them, but if they do have a Wrath effect on turn 4, that'll be pretty bad for us. We do have some backup cards. We can then drop out our Stag and our Hawk if our board gets cleared. Looks like they're scrying both the cards to the bottom, so they're not seeing whatever they wanted to hit there. We're going to hit him for 7, put him down to 11 life on turn 3. Now 4 mana is where they could have a Wrath effect. I would certainly hope they don't. Fabled Passage grabs a Plains, and Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths, is not a Wrath effect. So I split these into 2 piles, and they pick one of those. I'm going to say they can have... They can have Cleansing Nova as the face down, or they can get a Sigil and a Mortify face up. So they know they're getting goodies face up. They choose the face down pile. Bold choice there, because if that was a land, I would have really got him. That would have been nice, but there was no land. If I say that can't block, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can actually kill them right now, so that didn't matter at all, because I can just say that can't block. Let's gain 1 life from playing a creature, put 1 counter on Pridemate, and this will be exact 11. Wow, alright. I mean, they do have the Cleansing Nova next turn to destroy all my creatures, but we managed to do exact lethal that turn. Very impressive. So, I literally just said I was double guessing the life gain sub-theme in the deck, and then the life gain sub-theme really won us the game just because of how powerful Ajani's Pridemate is. If I didn't have the Soul Warden there, we would not have won that game either, so, you know, I guess maybe it's not so bad. Maybe the life gain sub-theme worked out a bit there. Definitely in that game it did. So let's head into the 4th round here. Just trying to get our final win for our Solemn Simulacrum full art card style. Opponent takes a mulligan. I don't know where these sleeves are from, but they're quite nice. Some kind of Eldraine sleeves for sure. Probably going to start out with a Prowling Caracal in turn 2, the 3/1 cat, rather than the 2/2 First Strike Mentor, because I don't really have any creatures to mentor onto, so I'd rather get the highest power out first. Opponent does start with a Rugged Highlands, though, so they may have creatures trying to block stuff. Hopefully nothing with more than 2 power, because then Silverflame Squire might be able to kill their blocker out of nowhere. Ooh, Rupture Spire 2, so they could be on just a highly multicolored deck here. I'm going to gird up my mentor creature so that it can mentor more things. Mentor allows you to put a counter on any creature with less power. So by making your mentor creatures higher power, there's more things you can put counters onto. So seeing that our opponent is probably 5-color here is a really good sign for us. Because we can probably just kill them while they're still setting up their mana base. Like, we definitely have lethal next turn if they can't Wrath us. And that would be an easy, immediate, just 3 wins out of this festival event in only like 20 minutes. And that's it. They don't have a Wrath effect. They see lethal on board and they scoop them up. So that is going to be it for the Historic Singleton 100-card deck format, the Super Singleton Festival. So, Yeah, I think that deck worked out quite well, and it's important to note that that deck was entirely commons and uncommons, so I think you definitely can build something and make it through this kind of event, even without all the crazy rares and mythics like we saw our last couple opponents do. So I will have the deck list to that in the description. It's just a very basic, very aggressive white weenie deck. I think you could do similar things in most colors. You could do kind of a blue tempo deck with a bunch of commons and uncommons, and mono red aggro like our first opponent was playing. It's definitely a lot of choices to do that aren't too hard to deck build and should be able to grab you your few wins there if that's what you're looking for. So with that all said, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. We'll go ahead and open the packs here. The pack that I got for a level up, I guess. And if you want to see more content, just stick around, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back again tomorrow with more Magic Arena content. Thank you.